Battle Royale Prediction Market Radio, Season 2, by Joe Pappalardo, 2026.
Hello, market watchers, and welcome to Battle Royale Radio, your first and only stop for BR information and market-focused, play-by-play commentary. We've got the lowdown on the players, the weapons, and of course the odds. I'm Austin Hamilton, here with my steady and reliable co-host, Jess Armstrong.
Thanks, Austin. As we say here, it's a brutal market, and information is the edge you need to survive it.
Your pregame show brilliantly broke down the best positions and biggest initial payouts so far. But can you summarize the biggest early surprises across the big three prediction markets?
Sure, Austin. I'd love to. The biggest surprise was in the markets focused on which education facility would be chosen to participate. With hundreds of schools with thousands of eligible players, the odds of another Texas school being selected for this Battle Royale, the second in a row, was just 2%. That's a massive payoff for those holding the long shot odds. The second big surprise was early confirmation from the command center that, while the list of 30 has not yet been released, the players are evenly spilt between male and female players. This has only happened once before in the United States, during the inaugural Battle Royale. And that was intentional. This appears to have been a random split, and a 2% payout for fortunate position holders.
This might be a good time to mention our streaming seminar, Building Your Battle Royale Market Portfolio. We can teach you how to mix long shots and sure things into a profitable mix of market positions. You can play like the pros, if you do the research.
That is a great segue to mention that our team of data divers are eagerly awaiting the official release of the 30 player names. They then will scramble to get the background of each. This information will help you take your positions, either right now or to plan your strategy in the late game. And of course, as the battle progresses, we'll analyze each player as they reveal themselves on the field.
While we're waiting, the customary announcement. This is not intended to in any way supplant the official government broadcast. They have the video and audio feeds from their surveillance network on the island. This is programming we can't hope to match. But the leader knows how important BR prediction markets are to the economy and the public interest, and relies on our humble broadcast to serve this community with updated coverage. Our broadcast is therefore not only permitted but fed images straight from the Island Command Center. S.2. Right now the authorities are telling the players the rules, and so will we. Each player will have a bag with some food, water, and a single, random weapon. They will also be issued a map that divides the island into sectors. Loudspeakers tell the players which zones are off-limits and when. If they are caught off-limits, the radio signal on their explosive collars will trigger. No player has ever seen a previous Battle Royale, since educational facilities are sealed facilities and quarantined from social media.
The names have been released, Austin, and our data divers are off and running. They're a team of just 3, each assigned 10 players each. Most people don't know it, but they have a code of honor. None has ever taken a position on a Battle Royale marketplace.
Admirable. And equally admirable is the speed at which they can identify information that could shift the odds. They have specially trained AI agents that pore through the school records, student papers, and mandatory psychological tests for useful nuggets of information. The players have been raised under the good graces of the government, but their early life experiences and varied genes could change their chance of surviving longer on the island. Newspapers and government records are therefore used to delve into the players' families, if they're known, to glean profitable insights.
The first name has been released, and as usual, it's closed the popular early markets over who will be the unfortunate example of the explosive collars functionality. This demonstration always occurs before the first player is even released, meaning straight 3.3% odds on each player in their unique binary markets. The action is limited by time, with just minutes available between the identification of the 30 players and the name of the dead player. Even so, I'm seeing nearly $1 million in positions being taken across all the boards. I've never seen such early action.
The name of the player is Kathleen Lustgarten, who actually was a possible inclusion on my list of bad survival bets, a dead ender. It was the high math scores and submissive personality traits that caught my eye.
You usually start with the strong players, but I'm willing to break with tradition.
The divers are finding more weaknesses than strengths, at least for now. we've got social misfits like John McDonald and Frank Meadows, who are not only friends but analog board game designers. With no athletic ability and no political skills, each represents a bad wager for anything but an early demise. Colin Mester and Hannah Holmes are overweight enough to earn health interventions from the school, but the mandated diets didn't seem to take. Zuzana Sipos, spelled with a Z, was a frequent target for female bullies and never fought back.
The data divers have identified 2 other of today's players appear in a report of bullying filed by Sipos, named Dorothy Remsen and Judy Dwyer. An interesting dynamic if these friends form a team on the island.
Of course, no action was taken by the school in that bullying case. Clearly, the girl's responsibility was to fight back on her own. This is the kind of moral weakness the leader speaks about so often. Some who are bullied are perfect candidates to seek revenge on the island, but Zuzana Sipos doesn't have the profile of one of those dark horses. Take your positions accordingly.
This is more like it. We've ID'd 2 players who volunteered for the school's military drill club, William Griffith and Roger Heeman. Given this, market watchers can be assured of their physical fitness and familiarity with both firearms and martial arts. The question is, are they friends or rivals? Will they team up for early game lethality, or remain lone wolves and become stronger later in the battle? Will their patriotism make them fan favorites and drive up their odds with sentimental wagers?
Rest assured, the divers are hard at work looking for ties between the two. Another good prospect has emerged from the list. Keep an eye on John Stacy. His disciplinary record has a promising incident from just last year, when he poisoned a female student's fish tank after she started dating someone else. Alas, these were older students and not in this grade of players. Antisocial behavior and violence toward animals are bedrock psychological profile indicators that he can quickly adapt to conditions on the island.
Of course, if he fixates on hurting the girls, it'll tamp down his odds. We've seen the lady killers rack up impressive victim numbers before, but some alpha male usually takes them out before the end.
I recall George Gashney teaching us all that lesson last year when he cut the hamstrings of a female player to draw out crazy Paul McNichol. Brained him with an axe handle while the maniac was busy, and mercy killed Abigail Hoffman when it was over.
It was a brutal but brilliant example of a honeypot. It also started a small but passionate market, taking positions on whether or not players would use the tactic, and an over-under on how many times. The odds are always long, especially if predicted to happen 2 times or more.
I'd love to talk about the other promising bad boy in the field today, Franklin Jones. But it appears the first player is about to emerge from the doorway of the briefing room. It's Judith Farkas, the youngest in the class at 16 years old. And she looks even younger, fresh-faced and terrified.
She does look like a deer, dashing off into the nearby woods. No chance of us seeing what weapon she's been issued. But her slip of a body, angelic face, and seeming lone wolf behavior have already pushed her odds of a Final 5 appearance to just 1.5%.
Hiders tend to die alone, the statistics show. Aggressive lone wolf players last longer and sometimes even win the entire battle.
And here comes Robert Carter, showing some sort of backbone by slowly walking out of the doorway. I'd be confident, too, if Judith Farkas was my only current threat. The word on Carter is minimal, with no disciplinary marks and little in terms of standout academic or athletic achievement.
He does participate in the school's hiking club and dedicated his senior school yearbook entry to the captain of the club. The two obviously have not communicated since she graduated last year, and mandatory federal service makes their reunion extremely unlikely. Yet he pines for her in public, indicating a sentimentality that will not go over well on the island or the markets.
I see Carter lurking in the woods. He's taken out his weapon, and it's a butcher's cleaver. Nasty piece of business. Shocking to see in action against a person, even for the one who wields it. If he can use that, we'll see what Carter's made of as well as his target.
He's not in a good position to ambush the next player out of the doorway, Myra Kestenbaum. Low member on the swim team, but an active officer in the campus self-defense club. The markets are loving her on paper, and she does exude a quiet strength coming onto the field, withdrawing a slingshot from the bag, loading a heavy ball bearing into the cup. Only now does she do an inventory of the food and water. She's staying near the doorway behind a tree.
Carter sees her but does not move. I'm not sure if he even knows what he's doing at this point.
John Hoyt has emerged. contact sport defensive end, poor grades, and a disciplinary record for excessive use alcohol. He takes a blundering step toward Myra, who raises the slingshot and orders him back. You can read her lips. Get back, asshole.
The big dummy has paused, looking confused and a little hurt. I can't imagine what he's saying, and I can't help but wonder why she doesn't just plug him right away.
I imagine she doesn't trust the slingshot to put him down, but she can't keep it pulled back forever. Just look at her hand tremble.
Ooh. And off goes John Hoyt, running into the woods with a ball bearing buried in his shoulder. That could have broken a bone. Now I'll turn right away to the markets, a split screen of all three big boards. As I suspected, new markets are opening up over Hoyt's future. Death of infection, death by another player, and a lopsided market taking the position he won't make it to the final 15 at 85%.
Soccer team goalie Virginia Majewski comes through the door. She gets a different welcome than did Hoyt, an embrace from Myra Kastenbaum. And a kiss. They seem interestingly close, but no disciplinary actions or sexual reorientation at the school was reported. Myra breaks the embrace now, motions at Virginia's bag. We all want to know what she's been issued. And it's ×3.
It's an arming sword. It looks wicked sharp. What a team. 2 athletic players, a decent ranged weapon, and a lethal close-range blade. But the markets may be loving them as final 15 prospects, but are rebelling against the pair making it to the final 5. The suicide markets have taken up the idea they have a secret relationship, but the odds are split close to even for now.
Welcome to Battle Royale, Thomas Allen. Jess, you know how I dislike bookish players. But Allen's a military history freak and actually published a paper applying Napoleonic tactics to modern drone warfare. He may never know it was published unless he emerges as the winner here, an event that holds just 5% odds. He's been issued a warhammer of some sort, like you'd see in an old Roman gladiator movie.
I think you call that a maul, Austin.
Your beauty is only eclipsed by your knowledge of medieval weapons.
Shut up.
Now Carter has emerged from hiding. He and Allen slap hands. Another team obviously forming here. Do 2 middling prospects made a better team or a weaker one?
Out comes one of our lady bullies, Dorothy Remsen. Cited for what one report called cruel hazing and financial predation aimed at newly arrived freshmen to the school. The weird thing was that Remsen got good grades without trying and has a natural aptitude for solo track and field sports. This accounts for the strong odds of her reaching the final 5, so early on in the battle.
Remsen has fled from the boys, who were staring at her like a space alien. I will take a page from your book, Jess, and wonder if she had a direction in mind. Last Battle Royale. You sniffed out a prearranged team rendezvous, and I'm trying to do the same.
Now that we have the names of the others in her clique, we'll see if they head the same direction. And any other recruits, too.
George Frederick walks outside the door looking spooked. He is slow to get close to Carter and Allen, who seem to be in recruitment mode. Frederick reaches into his bag and there it is. The first firearm issued in this battle royale is a MAC-10 machine pistol.
Look at the steam coming out of Frederick's ears. The wheels are turning, and I think he may be weighing the circumstances more differently now.
Carter and Allen are backing away now. They see something in his face. And up comes the MAC-10, close enough he can't possibly miss.
If it fired, you mean?
This is getting messy. Frederick didn't even check the safety before he aimed it and pulled the trigger. Oh, what a bad move.
Carter and Allen have him down now, just a dozen feet away from the doorway. Allen is scoring glancing blows at his head with the maul, while Carver's cleaver is stuck in the bone of his forearm and he's resorted to stomping his neck with a sneaker. And there, now Carter is down when Allen's blow glances off of Frederick's cheek and smashes his partner's lower leg. This is turning into the Three Stooges.
The leader will appreciate that, Jessica. We all know he's an enormous fan.
George Frederick has become the first player to fall on the field during this battle royale. Hearty congratulations to those big winners holding those 2% positions. But will Carver be close behind? I think his leg's been broken.
I think it just got messier. Carter has the MAC-10, aiming at Allen. He's ordering him to carry him away, and Allen agrees. Oh no, he didn't agree at all. He's batted the Mac-10 from Carter's hand with the maul. Carter's wrist is broken. Look at the hand dangle. Now Alan's gone to work on his former partner, and boy is the maul a great weapon for finishing someone. Even against someone supposedly helpless, it's not so easy to do with a blade.
The boys have been too busy to notice, but here comes Judy Dwyer. Clever girl. She snatched up the Mac-10 and sure enough presses the safety switch. And then pulls the trigger on a clueless Thomas Allen.
Now here's what I like about Dwyer. It's not just the presence of mind to read the situation and take immediate selfish action. It was the fact that she switched the designator to single shot before she fired into Allen's chest that impressed me. There's a quick-witted and efficient killer on the island, folks.
I think you're right, Austin. Now she's stuffing most of the weapons and supplies into 2 bags, hurrying but not panicked. And with long bags slung over each shoulder like an X, she's off into the woods. And yes, she's heading in Dorothy Remsen's direction.
She and Dwyer being linked in those bullying reports?
Yep, a probable team of well-armed bullies. Take your positions accordingly before people realize what a potent duo they could make in the first half of this battle.
People wonder why she wouldn't post up outside the door and shoot the other players as they leave. And she could, but only if that clip has 30 rounds. And based on previous experience, it likely has 15 or less.
This is a nightmare of an entrance for new player Walter Guest. A pile of torn-apart bodies, no supplies left except for a butcher's cleaver embedded in a human arm, and no outward sign of the perpetrator. And let's get a quick data diver rundown as Guest runs away. Oh, he's a member of the Students' Leadership Club. A politician, perhaps, on an island where that skill only goes so far. Out comes the lithe and graceful Kata Kinsley, the acting club ingenue. She's one of the few known couples on the island today, romantically linked in email messages to Dennis Salcido. Even her friends don't know about them, and those friends include Dorothy Remsen. They were bunkmates in the Education Center intake system, but have had little communication lately.
Off she goes, and in Remsen's direction to the east. Sorry, Dennis. Your girl chose her own kind when push came to shove.
To which I say, smart girl.
The instinct is to band together to stave off danger, but as player numbers dwindle, those groups themselves become threats. And when the dynamics force a group to implode, it can get very cutthroat. But the other option, to partner with a boyfriend, only invites ultimate betrayal or mutual suicide.
If she knew her buddy has a Mac-10, she'd run to her even faster.
Here is one of our military boys, William Griffith. Well-built, stern-faced, trying to hold his emotions together. He jogs to a tree and takes a knee. He's readying his weapon. A fine bow, but a dated one. It looks almost Native American in its simplicity. And the arrows are feathered, yes, wooden arrows, and an old traditional bow.
Good enough to kill a buffalo, but only at close range. He'll need to ambush or stalk his prey, 2 skills his training may have prepared him for. Griffith takes a swig of water and vanishes to the west in double time.
Here comes my favorite disciplinary case, Franklin Jones. Now you can see why I was so interested. More than 6'2", well-muscled, a contact sport dropout as a sophomore. Looking at his psyche file, Jones actually believes that he remembers his father. He insists on using the junior in his name on official records, which is contrary to Education Center policy. The bulk of his disciplinary file involves possession and distribution of contraband reading material, but he has 2 fistfights on file as well.
Very promising, Austin, and well spotted. Now the big guy slides his weapon from the bag, a wooden baseball bat. He's got the upper body strength to make deadly use of it, but does he have the temperament?
Watch him closely, Jess. I think we're seeing an immediate upgrade in process.
No doubt about it. He's stashed his bag and is taking up a position at the entrance. He looks like he's posing for a baseball card or something, bat raised high overhead. The door is opening, and this is going down right now.
Look out, Cheryl. Well, that was quick. He caved in her face, then her head. 2 big blows from the big man. And that's already 5 players down with half still waiting to emerge as Jones drags the body from the door and proceeds to dump the contents of her bag onto the ground.
Look at that. A triplet of hand grenades has tumbled from the bag. What an upgrade for the misanthrope. He seems pleased because he now heads away from the entrance, heading northwest, a lone wolf with numbers rising in favor of a deep run. His final 5 odds are already 20%, a strong position so early in the battle and probably driven by a lack of stronger solo players.
It's almost like Roger Herman can smell recent violence because he leaves the doorway in a crouch. He only looks at the bodies sprawled nearby for a second before dashing off, stopping at the tree line. He looks every bit the aspiring infantryman. And just like his military club buddy William Griffith, he's heading due west. Good final 5 numbers for such a team, but what happens after that? Which one could betray the other to win? Their psych evaluations show deep belief in national duty, raising the chances of a self-sacrifice scenario between 2 non-romantic players. A real rarity.
The data divers have been preparing me for the emergence of Nikki de Jong onto the field. They know I like to keep an eye on the team dynamics on the island, and she's the other girl named in the report on freshman bullying and shakedowns on campus. One report called her an enforcer for the group, the brawn who would ensure payments and subdue resisting students. Perhaps surprisingly, she has also qualified to participate in the Miliary Drone Pilots Development Program and has some engineering savvy.
A good member to have on your team, in other words. And off she goes to the east, weapon unrevealed. A reminder to bettors who like to back a team to survive to the final 15 or higher. The higher the number of players on the team, the more the odds of a deep run will drop. The stats don't lie. Big teams lead to big die-offs.
And Sarah Hood enters the fray. She's one of your dead-enders, Austin?
Indeed, a diagnosed depressive with antisocial tendencies and a non-existent friend group. She's one for the early suicide markets, with only 23% chance she sees sunrise. I like the sunset suicide market as a good-paying option here, and the reason I say so is because the data divers have uncovered some of her poetry.
A skinny, sensitive artist on this island is no one to put money on.
It's worse than that, Jess, because her poems are filled with turgid death imagery and other hallmarks of suicidal ideation.
No surprise, then, that she's loped off into the woods all alone. But that leaves room for John MacDonald, a pale and doughy specimen if ever I've seen one.
Body by board games, seems to me. He's one of my misfit dead-enders, and now you see why. No record of achievement, poor discipline, and coping skills. A notable high rank in the markets to be a first 15 loser.
He's laying down under a bush like a rabbit. What did you say about hiders?
The door is opening, and the next female player is slowly emerging. The data divers tell me this is Hannah Holmes.
She is a heavy girl, Austin, but not as ungainly obese as I was expecting. Her file includes recreational biking, so her heart and lungs are probably better than expected. But I don't like her attitude here, staring at the bodies and crying.
Better stow those emotions, Hannah. There will only be more as the hours go by.
The markets are already punishing her for this display. You thought McDonald was a safe bet for an early exit? She's pushing 45%, first third gone, and she hasn't even unveiled her weapon.
It could be a rocket launcher. If the person is too weak to use it, it doesn't matter. The leader says it's a matter of pure willpower.
We've learned that lesson time and time again here on the island.
Welcome to the party, Earl Mattery. A founding member of the Agricultural Sciences Club. His big dream seems to be to become a farmer. He got his hands dirty with chicken butchery, but also programmed fieldworker robots. So there's smarts inside there.
Is he smart enough to stay away from a crying girl during Battle Royale? I think not.
He and Hannah Holmes are talking, quickly and urgently. He knows he should leave her, but somewhere he's been infected with the dated, hyper-masculine impulse called chivalry. He hasn't watched previous battles to know just how debilitating this concept is in the real world.
And it doesn't get any more real than Battle Royale.
Holmes and Madry, an unlikely team indeed. And they quickly leave together, heading around the administration building to head north.
None other than Dennis Salcedo steps out of the door. This is Kata Kinsley's beau, but he's not wasting time looking around for her. He's reaching into his bag as he moves away from the doorway, and out comes a very nice-looking katana sword. There's always a katana in the mix, a nod to the Japanese origins of Battle Royale.
Jess, look at where he's heading. Due east, the same direction of the Remsen group, which I think we should just call the Bullies. They're shrewd enough to recruit a trusted male player, apparently.
You are a smart man, but you're still a man, and therefore blind to the arcane ways of women. You are assuming Kata has told the others that her boyfriend is on the way.
There's a reason 45% of the ultimate victors are female, Jess, and it's a credit to our species and society that both sexes are so capable under duress. Just another good takeaway from Battle Royale.
Zuzana Sipos spells her first name with a Z, a typo on her educational center forms that she never applied to fix. This flash of individualism is the only bright mark on a record of total banality, submission to bullies, and a lack of societal responsibility. Aside from the garden club, she's been a blank slate during her entire school experience.
She's walking slowly, past the corpses and away from the door, rummaging through the bag, sliding out a long gun. It's a hunting rifle, a deadly and coveted weapon that I now see is sporting 15-to-1 odds that it'll be used more than twice during this battle. I wonder if these early position holders see the bullying as catalyst for violence.
How many rounds do you think she's been issued?
Based on previous battles, probably 10. It's a great weapon to find in your bag, especially for a lone wolf like Sipos.
As we watch her retreat, Frank Meadows emerges. And so has John McDonald, who has scrambled from under a bush to meet him. Two gamers are not that much better than one when it comes to Battle Royale. The pair dash off immediately, heading south by southwest. No sign of what weapons they have.
Farah Jadane knows how to make an entrance. She's holding the long serving fork in front of her like a ward, ready to stick the steel tines into anyone lurking outside the door. It's a weapon best used to puncture arteries in the neck or leg.
It can also be plunged into the skull like an ice pick. I'd see this as an excellent choice for quiet, stealthy kills.
The weapon can decide the player's strategy, especially during the early game.
Very true. And Farah has finally put the gas pedal down and had fled east, making me think the bullies might be forming a mega group of players. Counting the Lothario Salcedo, there could be 5 of 25 on the same team.
And there goes Remsen and Dwyer's odds, in steep decline when it comes to a top 5 finish. Sorry to those locked into early positions, but that's the way it goes. Let's see who exactly the security cameras catches making rendezvous before we get too far into the team markets, most of which haven't even opened yet.
The next player is Colin Mester. He is as obese as his record indicated, and panic has already made him out of breath. Is he asthmatic, Austin?
Yes, he is. It's listed on his medial records right next to a diagnosis of chronic bedwetting. A dead ender from top to bottom to my eye.
And he's going it alone here, too. I can see as he enters the woods that he has some sort of cutlass in hand, as long as his forearm. A physical weapon for such a fat player, it's no wonder his odds of removal within the first 4 hours is already topping 25%.
The markets might like Ruth Haney a lot more. This girl has an aptitude for the outdoors, part of the school's adventure club every year she was eligible. This year, she served as the club's chair. She is tall and looks very fit, striding out of the door with narrow eyes but what I think is a real air of confidence.
I'm not sure it matters today, but Haney climbed her way out of earthquake rubble at age 6, the only survivor in her family. Does a child retain that strength as she grows? Will she again persevere or have the years sapped her primal love of life?
No one can peel these battles apart like you can, Jess. You see them on a deeper level.
Don't get me wrong, I'm 100% here for the markets. But those who take positions in this very human endeavor without factoring in the psychology of the players, well, you will deserve every loss to get.
Watch out, world, because here comes John Stacy. His first concern seems to be arming himself, which makes sense given the bodies tumbled around. It's a short-handled sickle, a one-handed curved blade used to harvest reeds.
Look at that creepy smile.
We may have a genuine psycho on our hands. It's been a while, but he's got all the makings. And he's not moving yet, just staring at the doorway. And maybe this is why. Joanne Grover has stepped out, looking very much like a deer on opening day. They exchange a look, staring at one another.
Like a wolf after a rabbit is more like it. The moment between them broke into an immediate foot race, John Stacy dropping his supply bag to give chase as the girl ran blindly into the trees. She could have a shotgun in that bag for all she knows. The creep isn't giving her a chance to check.
It's a lucky result for him. I don't think it's strategy.
We'll have to rely on the command center cameras for an update on any result. Because here comes James Troutman, the last player out of the briefing room and onto the field. He walks out holding a modern one-handed crossbow. It's come with a thigh strap quiver with a half-dozen 5-inch bolts. Not a lot, but the key is recovering ammunition, which isn't always easy as it sounds.
And that's all 30 players, accounted for one way or the other. Now, we're going to cut away so that people can watch the leader's customary speech, marking the start of another battle royale. We'll be back within an hour after its completion, when the field has settled into some patterns that will impact the markets and your investment strategies. Until then, this is Austin Hamilton and Jess Armstrong for Battle Royale Radio. Welcome back, market watchers. In the 2 hours since Battle Royale started, we saw a flurry of action followed by relative quiet. The notable exception was John Stacy, who was indeed able to catch up with Johanna Grover. He knocked the taser from her hand, pinned her down, and slit her throat by sawing at it with the curved blade. She choked on her own blood as he sat back and watched. Stacy pilfered her taser, ate a power bar, left the other supplies, and walked off with a purpose.
Watch out, ladies. Team betting is soaring as the official broadcast locates the players as they gather together. There are several pairs, including he possibly Safik Kestenbaum and Majewski, the military bros of Herman and Griffith, Earl Mattery and Hannah Holmes, and the gamers Meadows and McDonald. Forming the largest team are who we call the Bullies, made of Dorothy Remsen, Judy Dwyer, Kata Kinsley, Farah Jadon, and Nikki DeJong. Poor Dennis Salcedo was spotted lurking near the group in hiding. And Kata Kinsley has been spotted gazing into the trees, face worried instead of fearful.
That's interesting stuff, Jessica. The rest of the field are lone wolves, either by choice or by rejection by the others. Hoyt, Guest, Mester, Stacy, Hood, Farkas, Jones, Sipos, Troutman, and Haney comprise the solo players in this battle royale.
The field has settled down some, with some staying still and others on the prowl for victims. Jones and Stacy are hunting, the gamer boys are roaming aimlessly, and the military club veterans, since linking up, seem to be steadily working their way to the coast. In the meantime, the bullies have not moved. Sipos has climbed a tree with her rifle, and Holmes and Madry have been digging a hole under a fallen tree to hide in. Likely a dumb strategy, as we are mere moments away from the first announcement of the map's no-go zones. They're apt to be uprooted, their efforts entirely wasted.
It's only a waste if they never use it to hide from a threat like Frank Jones. And here comes the zone announcement. The authorities in the control room shut down one or several to inspire interactions that will speed the game along. And the first shutdown closes 2 sectors, moving the group of 5 girls from their woodland haven. Dennis Salcedo will follow them, biding his time for what exactly, I wonder?
Austin, we can confirm that Colin Mester has been injured. The overweight student took a tumble down an embankment that was comic for everyone but Colin himself. He's been laying in the mud, holding his knee since the fall. And he is definitely inside the no-go zone. His lifespan is exactly 7 minutes and 40 seconds.
No big market reaction there, Jess, with his early death coming as no surprise. With only 6 down, it would take a slaughter of 4 to knock his best-paying market, being among the first third of players eliminated. That is not impossible, as the map shutdowns make the battlefield more dynamic.
The official broadcast feed is even now following just such a moment. It's bad luck for Judith Farkas that John Stacy has found her, watching from the edge of the safe zone as she entered it from a field. He's maneuvered himself to intercept her from behind, like a true predator. Farkas has an antique hatchet, clutching it near the head, like a totem instead of a weapon.
He's not walking slowly anymore. Franken Jones is speeding up as he closes the distance, bat in hand and bag dropped elsewhere. She's down. Judith Farkas is down with a broken arm. And now the beating begins, battering her head and shoulders. It's clearly over. Jones better be careful not to break that wooden bat.
He seems unbalanced to me, Austin, but he's in an extreme situation, and that might not be the worst thing. I like the idea of haunting the safe zone for victims. Lone wolf, indeed.
The bullies have made the migration into the safe zone, unscathed and unseen by all, except for the lovelorn Dennis Salcedo.
That may not be entirely true. The official broadcast is tracking Sipos after losing her after she climbed down from her tree. She's seen the group and has been trailing them on a parallel course ever since. Gets the blood going in anticipation.
Here's another one for your tumultuous team markets. Earl Madery and Hannah Holmes have met the gamers, McDonald and Meadows, and decided to team up. This has upended each of their survival market odds with...
Austin, sorry to interrupt, but Sarah Hood has killed herself. She walked to the coast and was struggling to make the distance to a safe zone, and took the opportunity to leap off a cliff instead of pushing for safety. The data divers crunched the numbers. She would have made it in time. The quitter.
Another one down as the timer winds down and the island shrinks. Deeper inside the safe zone, Ruth Haney is starting to turn heads and move markets. Already a strong contender, she has now revealed her weapon, a fully loaded Colt revolver, 6 shots only. And also a strategy to use it, namely, ambush.
Myra Kestenbaum and Virginia Majowski haven't moved much since hearing their zone was safe. But Haney saw them and have been slithering closer to them on her belly for what the official broadcasters say has been 15 minutes. The 2 girls are huddled next the exposed roots of a fallen tree, feeling shielded from view. In reality, Haney is using the blind spot to get closer.
I like what I'm seeing, and her top 5 odds are poised to go through the roof if she pulls off this ambush. And there's almost no time to take a position, as Haney has slowly risen to her knees. Now her feet. And she's making the final blind approach to the tree in a crouch.
Shots fired. It's over. She did it. The 2 girls are dead and Haney is victorious. Her first bullet caught Kestenbaum in the throat, her partner dove to her side to render aid, and Haney shot her between the shoulder blades.
There's no expression on Haney's face now as she ransacks the pair's food and water. She drops the slingshot into her bag, tucks the sword into her belt, and with that we have a new market leader for both a Final 5 appearance and ultimate victory.
And only now does the siren blow and the radio trigger the explosive collar on Colin Mester's neck. But Austin, that makes him number 11, doesn't it? He beat the odds of dying in the first third, which made some of his believers a good amount of money, with the market closing at just 15% in his favor of doing so.
Well, he was able to achieve that at least from what was otherwise a very unremarkable Battle Royale appearance.
They can't all be Ruth Haney.
If only. Okay, Jess, I'm receiving word from the control room that the official broadcast is pausing in order for people to tune into a breaking news alert from Washington, D.C. regarding international economic warfare aimed at the United States. So we'll break as well and come back as soon as we're able. Hello, Market Watchers, and welcome back to Battle Royale Radio, your first and only stop for BR information and action. I'm Austin Hamilton, back with co-host Jess Armstrong.
Hi, all.
After that speech from the Secretary of the Treasury, we could all use some relaxation and entertainment. And what is more entertaining than Battle Royale?
And what pays you off for being entertained?
Battle Royale. And what's the best way to get the knowledge you need to survive in these killer markets?
Battle Royal Prediction Market Radio Seminars.
That's right, Jess. And with all of that, let's get caught up on the action, and some has been worth reporting. To start, Herman and Griffith made an attempt on the Misfit group, shooting an arrow past the head of Frank Meadows as he and his 3 companions skirted past a lakeside. The arrow was lost to the water, but the group scattered after the attack, and John McDonald has been separated from his small herd.
We've been watching the 2 military club members circle his position, the bowman covering the advance of Herman, who's got a crowbar clutched in hand. And I do believe he feels he's got a clean shot at McDonald, who seems more worried about finding his friends than making the final 15.
The shot's gone into his leg, and the gamer is down. Now we see how fast Herman is, a 100-yard dash through the trees that he's taking as if he's on a paved track. Wearing boots gives these 2 a big advantage, I'm now seeing. And the dash ends with a decisive blow across the temple with that crowbar. McDonald is convulsing, laying flat on his back with hands clutching dirt.
Let's see what these guys are made of.
Herman has finished him off. McDonald is dead, head now beaten in. Griffith has appeared now, hand on his partner's shoulder. Teamwork, even in the face of extreme odds and an eventual showdown between the two. That's real steel. And as Griffith pulls at the spent arrow, Herman opens their victim's bag and finds a high-beam flashlight. How curious. I don't know that we've seen that before.
It's a hand torch, extremely high lumens. There's a filter. Turn the red filter, and it is harmless. Blast it as white light, however, and it could disorient a target or even cause eye damage. So while MacDonald wasn't impressed, it does make a potent, if unconventional, weapon.
An evil mind lurks beneath her pleasant facade.
Back off. I know how to hurt people.
Battle Royale has clearly made Jessica more aggressive than usual. And who could blame her? The markets are alive with the action surging after each slaying and people taking positions for or against perceived favorites. We're talking about nearly 2 million in positions across the big three boards alone. There are bold predictions. Haney to win at a 30% payout, Franklin Jones kill count with an over-under of 6, and a nihilistic market predicting Dennis Salcedo will kill his girlfriend Kata Kinsley before the battle is over. He's finally taken to walking around with his own weapon ready, a cruel-looking morning star that looks familiar from the last Battle Royale.
I wouldn't take the 25% chance that he will, to be honest. That's far too optimistic, with too many variables that could get in the way, including the fact that they pair may be in secret cahoots.
That the prediction market's for you. Sometimes the human emotions get carried away and impact the numbers.
We're hearing from the control room that the players are in for a rude surprise, even as the sun sinks low on the horizon. Most of the players seem to be content to settle down for the night, but the authorities have something else in mind. Another map restriction, with the 2 most populated zones likely to be cleared out.
And there goes the alarm. The players are scrambling to get their maps and pens. Some are already inside a green zone, like Earl, Hannah, and Frank. They've lit a fire, using a book of contraband matches. We're not sure who brought them to the island, but the kids are sharing a cigarette that Hannah supplied, so she's the likely source. No one wants a disqualification for such a petty infraction, and her collar will remain untriggered. However, the fire has attracted Walter Guest, who is hiding outside their campsite. Is he frozen in fear or planning something?
The bullies are on the move and not by choice. The 5 show no tradecraft, walking in a tight bunch and, from what I can tell, still talking. They think there is safety in numbers and by virtue of that MAC-10. I'd be crawling to the green zone if I were them.
Ruth Haney has made it safely to the safe zone, we can report. Not a surprise, but a relief for the many who are holding positions on her. We've seen promising prospects cut down by bad luck before, so every milestone is meaningful for this market favorite.
Austin, there's been a gunshot and the bullies have taken cover. One seems wounded, maybe not badly since she's moving around and pointing at where the shot came from. The control room cameras are following her arm. It's Zuzana Sipos, with a Z, with a rifle in a tree. The girls are panicked. Dwyer rises to aim the MAC-10, but something makes her duck down again. Surely neither side has the skill or ammunition for a long-range gun battle.
Oh my God, I get it. I see what she's doing. And I underestimated Sipos and her anger at being bullied. Jess, she's got them pinned down.
And they're stuck in the no-go zone. They can make a run for it and get shot at or stay in place and die. The only question is, how long will it take this gaggle to figure out that they're in a deadly pinch?
They're flinching again, under fire from the rifle. It takes some nerve to stand up with bullets flying. So they're crawling, too low and too slow. Now they stop, Remsen holding her leg. Dwyer unleashes a barrage from the MAC-10. We're down to a minute until the collars activate. They must know doom is close because they're on their feet. Now Judy Dwyer falling motionless, shot down and maybe dead. The others stumble toward the invisible safe line where the millimeter wave transmissions won't reach them.
Too late. Dorothy Remsen, Kata Kinsley, Nikki DeJong, Judy Dwyer, and Farah Jadon are all dead in a simultaneous explosion of heads that, for all of me, looked like a fireworks display.
You can paint a picture, that's for sure. What a masterful play by Sipos, and so unexpected that there was not a single revenge market open to handle positions on her targeting her bullies. What an oversight. What a ruthless plan from a true dark horse player.
Hold your digital wallets because the cameras have caught nearby movement. When I say Battle Royale is better than Shakespeare, I mean it. The shadowy figure stalking toward the gunshots is none other than Dennis Salcedo. Do you think he witnessed the slaughter of his girlfriend?
His revenge market says, yes, and he's got a good chance of getting his vengeance, 78% and rising with each step toward that tree. If Sipos has any chance of seeing his creeping, deliberate approach, she'll have to climb down faster.
He's closing the gap, clearly going after her. Look out, Z.
I don't think Dennis Salcedo expected that. He got the blade past her raised arms, a lovely sweeping stroke that makes me think he once played tennis, and the katana cut through her neck and buried itself into the neck bone. The guy dropped the sword and now falls back as her head falls away, still connected, but spraying.
Gross.
Dennis is having a crying fit or a nervous breakdown.
He has a rifle and a katana. Get up and fight.
By the way he's moving, I don't think he had much fight left. He's going for the rifle, checks to see if it's ready to fire. Sipos reloaded before climbing down, bless her heart. So now Dennis Salcedo puts the barrel in his mouth and reaches for the trigger.
Not so easy, is it, Dennis?
He's kicked off his shoes and pulled off one sock. I know what happens next. He'll have to bite down hard to make sure the barrel stays aimed at his brain.
And he's gone. No doubt about it from the cranial damage. And with all the action, I bet the viewers thought we didn't notice that we've crossed into the final 15. We'll discuss the names on and off the list only after Battle Royale administration releases the official order, the standard used by all the legitimate boards when things are a little unclear.
Night has fallen here on the island, and we're seeing most of the 11 survivors settling down, at least for the time being. What terrors they unleash on each other in the darkness, only the authorities will know for sure, courtesy of their ground surveillance network and infrared camera-equipped drones. We too will be signing off, but Jess and I will be back as soon as the sun rises.
Good night, folks.
Hello, Market Watchers, and welcome to Battle Royale Radio, your first and only stop for BR information and play-by-play action. I'm Austin Hamilton, here with co-host Jess Armstrong. I'll lead the broadcast with what everyone is talking about. It was a remarkable night for those holding the over on Franklin Jones's kill count as he went on an overnight rampage.
Yes, Austin. Those of us who first saw a budding psychopath lurking behind his cool facade have been rewarded handsomely for our early positions. He started the midnight killings by beating Walter Guest to death as the aspiring politician watched Meadows, Holmes, and Madre sleep by a smoldering fire. The fire pit made a nice target for a hand grenade, which bounced off the embers. And then it exploded, taking significant pieces off of Madre and Meadows and leaving Holmes too injured to get away.
To his credit, Jones doesn't let people linger. A couple shots to the head with a wooden bat, and Holmes stopped crawling.
That massacre represents the night's only action, but the day promises plenty of more as players in close proximity face a map closure, soon to be announced. These are planned in order to drive players together, and we have players who might soon have some unwanted company.
At this point, the only team left is Herman and Griffith, our military trainees. The big news with them is the recovery of the rifle from Salcedo's body, which Herman now holds. We count 2 rounds left. The word from command is that the pair made an overnight vow to fight each other after taking care of everyone else. The markets surrounding this proposition believe them, with an 80% chance of the boys keeping their word and not turning on each other until the end. Semper Fidelis, guys.
The alarm sounds and the clock is ticking like the bomb in an old movie. The explosives in their necks are noiseless until they're triggered, that is. Let me look at the map. S.2. Okay, the players are in motion. We have some probable conflicts coming, with the injured John Hoyt slowly making his way toward the patch of trees in the green zone where Franklin Jones has been lurking. Troutman and Ruth Haney are also on a collision course, with the wild card of John Stacy heading for them as well. Herman and Griffith are in the green zone but heading toward the edge. I expect they are looking for an ambush spot.
We've heard from the command center on the island. According to surveillance and based on the way he's moving, John Hoyt's shoulder wound has festered. Not enough to kill him, but my does he look weak and unsteady on his feet.
No match for Jones, to be sure. Just look at the survival odds drop as people get a look at him.
Here's a matchup we had dreamed about. Ruth Haney against John Stacy. Only the woman targeting Dark Horse seems to have the drop on her, sneaking up slowly from behind.
I had an Australian shepherd who would crouch low and walk like that, smooth but steady, to get close to rabbits. But this bunny has a Colt pistol and 4 rounds, plus a sword in her belt. So he'd better be careful.
That dog analogy seems to be spot on, Jess. He's got the taser ready, meaning he'll charge Ruth Haney once he's close enough. Before she can react, he'll taser her until she's helpless and then cut her apart with the sickle.
The suspense is killing me. The odds on Haney have always been good, so her exiting before making the final 5 would be a market-rattling development. Plus, she's the only lady left standing. I can't help but root for her to turn around, but it's nearly too late.
You've asked for an intervention, and I give you James Troutman. We have all been so preoccupied with Haney that we've ignored this young player. And John Stacy has made the same mistake, walking right into his field of fire at less than 4 feet. This is a can't miss.
Right in the head, the bolt passed right through his head. Stacy is down and very much dead. The taser is jumping in his hand, but darkness has indeed closed his eyes.
Haney has whirled around, scrambling for cover. Now she sees James Troutman. She can't believe what she sees, and neither do I. Troutman is waving at her, smiling. Now he puts his arm down and turns away, walking away from her and the now still corpse of John Stacy. Get the data divers to chime in, please. Did we miss a coupling or a social connection?
It was a total heartthrob move, is all I can say. A lot of women are hoping he wins, all of a sudden.
The divers are as quick as ever. Look at his list of viewed media, for God's sake. Knights, heroes, and quests. The kid suffers from the weakness of chauvinism, paternalism, and sexism.
It would have been less sexist to shoot her with a handheld crossbow. I suppose that's technically true. But now, Haney and Troutman have gone their separate ways, working their way to the top of a very challenging final 6 contenders.
Soon to be the final 5, Jess. Jones has spied Hoyt blundering through the woods and has taken up a position behind a tree. His target may be injured, but he's the largest player of the 30 to step foot on the field. And the trap is just about to be sprung.
Well, Hoyt's down, but the wooden bat has finally found a head hard enough to break it. The big kid is regaining his feet as Jones tears at his belt to free his hatchet. The beefy kid charges, and they're both on the ground. The hatchet is free. Jones has the blade dug into Hoyt's ear as the bigger youth throttles Jones. Now the blade scrapes an eye, and Hoyt grabs the socket. Jones pushes clear, whirls, and plants the hatchet square between his opponent's eyes. It's a crushing blow.
Wow, Jess. An outstanding one-on-one duel. And now we have the final 5. Troutman, Jones, Herman, Griffith, and Haney. The action is dividing up neatly for each one, with boosters seeing endgames possible for each player. Good positions are still available for each of the 5. Do you go with Jones and his pair of grenades? Or the duo of Herman and Griffith? Will Haney remain a wily killer, and will Troutman's apparent conscience limit his chances at victory?
It'll all be coming to a head soon. Based on the tightness of the safe zones on the map, 4 of these players aren't likely to survive to see another sunset.
Picking which one is what our broadcast has been about, and I'd like to point out the presence of 2 of my picks in the final 5. Thank you very much.
Well done, Austin. So who do you have picked to win it?
My biggest position sits on Jones to take it all. Of course, it's only one part of a portfolio of long and short positions, but I like his feral warrior approach. He's got Hoyt's weapon now, a pair of carbon fiber nunchucks. But he's clearly aggressive and reasonably armed, making his markets increasingly stingy on payouts. Those who took positions before his campfire massacre, like me, stand to make much more than the late arrivals.
He's a long shot compared to Herman and Griffith if you combine their odds. With a rifle, a bow, and a partnership, they are the ones to beat.
With players now so close together, viewers may be wondering why there's no interactions. The answer is the terrain. The remaining part of the island is bordered by the ocean to the west and south, and the rest offers little cover, just scrub brush and some lonely trees. But when we say the finale will be decided with a game of 3-dimensional chess, we mean the players need to think about the highs and lows of the rocky bluffs leading up to the steep cliffs.
We're looking at a cat and mouse situation with Jones and Troutman, with each carefully maneuvering through the crests and valleys to find a spot to watch for other players. They don't see each other, but they know enemies are close. Both move slowly, picking their steps carefully before stopping to peer around in every direction.
Jones has the advantage, Jess. He's slowly moved higher up on the bluff, and he'll have a better vantage than Troutman. If he had a ranged weapon, he'd have a better shot.
I count hand grenades as ranged weapons, Austin.
You're ahead of me as always. Jones isn't getting lucky. He knows where Troutman is. And now we see what he plans to do as he pulls the pin from the hand grenade and tosses it downhill.
Troutman did see it coming, but it did no good. Less than good, actually, as he turned his face to stare at the grenade just as it went off. James Troutman is gone, ending the hopes of 12,400 position holders on the Big Three boards wagering that he'd go the distance.
And Franklin Jones finally has a proper ranged weapon, the handheld crossbow that has already drawn blood during this battle. For anyone holding the over position on a crossbow kill count of 3, this is good news indeed.
As we wait for the teams to slowly move around the green zone, it gives me a chance to study up on two-man ambush tactics. Let's see. The textbook approach is to, and I'll quote, adopt a localized V or L shape configuration. The primary shooter sets up at the apex while the secondary shooter secures the flank, watches the rear, or blocks the escape route. Success hinges on surprise, disciplined trigger control.
That explains their good odds. 2 against 1 means something, even when everyone has firearms.
Ruth Haney had dropped to her belly. She's seen something, or someone. And it's Franklin Jones, moving along the high ground of the bluffs, probably seeking another player to drop a depth charge on. He's forgetting a basic rule of maneuver.
Don't offer a silhouette.
Exactly. He may be crouching, but his torso is etched across the sky. Now she knows where he is and the direction he's traveling. She can plan an ambush of her own. Let's just see how this develops.
Shot fired. Shot fired. Jones has been struck in the arm. He wheels and sends a crossbow bolt sailing into the air. It's a clean miss, and now Haney takes careful aim and shoots again. Jones is down with a bullet in his sternum. That's center mass, and the apparent end of this very highly regarded player.
Yes, Austin. His chest is no longer moving. Haney is still handling herself like a pro, taking his hand grenade and crossbow ammunition without even flinching. Wait.
You spoke too soon. She finally recognizes the crossbow and what it means.
Oh, the death of her savior, James Troutman. I get it.
Shake it off, Ruth. There's still a long day ahead if you're going to defeat a team of 2 well-armed players.
The markets have gone wild, and there's no point using statistics to advise anyone. People are taking positions based on pure emotion, instinct, and gut reactions. And the final victor markets have reached more than $15 million across the Big Three boards. The safe money is flocking to Herman and Griffith defeating Haney, while she's become a long shot to win with a passionate following that makes the payout for the boys still worth taking a position. For now. The real toss-up is the final survivor between Herman and Griffith, assuming they survive the coming encounter with the well-armed Haney.
Haney is back on her feet, drinking water, face again set in stone. What determination and grit. But she doesn't know how many are left, what weapons they have, or how many she faces.
She's not going too far from the body of Franklin Jones. In fact, she's close enough to shoot anyone who arrives to loot him, using the crossbow or the Colt.
2 ambushes, 2 parties. That means no action until the next map announcement, which will certainly drive all 3 players into new positions. Jess, I recommend we take a break until the final action starts to play out.
Austin, the markets are shifting even as we speak.
I've been told by Command Center on the island that we need to break.
Break we shall then. We're back on air and covering the map closure that should settle this battle royale for good. I'm Jessica Armstrong. My co-host Austin Hamilton will be with us shortly. I'm watching the official broadcast like everyone else as the map again shrinks for our players. 3 intrepid souls, each carrying strong odds of victory. As it turns out, the green zone is closer to Herman and Griffith, who ran off to the area in a bounding overwatch as soon as the loudspeakers announced the coordinates. Haney is moving with her usual deliberate pace. It seems like discipline, but the two boys are certain to get there first and have time to set up somewhere tactically sound.
I'm here, Jess.
Good to see you, Austin. Everything okay?
Fine, Jess, thanks. I see that the players are in motion.
Yes, indeed. The map's been reduced to a single cliffside, meaning the trio will have to be in range of each other's firearms just to remain safe from elimination. And the boys have arrived first.
If I remember your lesson correctly, the two are setting up in a L-shape ambush.
Basically at right angles to each other, covering the approach to the cliff from two directions.
And covering a probable retreat like the handbook said.
Holy shit, here comes Haney. The boys haven't been in position very long, but they seem to be ready. And it looks like William Griffith, with his traditional bow, will be the one to take the first shot. And it goes wide. The shot is wide. Haney crouches low and backs away, the handheld crossbow raised and ready. She won't waste a bullet on anything but a clean shot.
You notice which way she's heading? Right toward Roger Herman's position. She doesn't know the ambush has a second element. The boy takes a bead on her with the rifle.
She sees him, but it's too late.
Ruth Haney is down, curled in a ball and badly wounded. The crossbow's been abandoned, as if unimportant. The boys rush over. Griffith tugs the Colt from her waistband. Now we shall see how far their loyalty goes.
There are no words exchanged, just a look between them. Now Griffith crouches, speaking to Haney. It's a tender moment, with the boy stroking her hair as his friend stands watch. It won't take much time for her to bleed out.
Can I get poetic? Her lifeblood is like an hourglass. When it runs out, so ends the partnership between Roger Herman and William Griffith.
That's nice, Austin.
Thanks, Jess. And I think the officials are already prepared to officially call it for Ruth Haney. The spirited girl has become the 28th to fall on the island. One more to go, but which one? The odds are close to even, with the exception of the long shot positions on the double suicide market.
You hear the loudspeaker on the official broadcast?
Yes. 2 players left, it said. They want these boys to make their choice.
Look at the pair. They're not boys anymore, they're men.
What I'd give to hear this discussion. Herman tosses the rifle aside. Griffith sets down the bow. They look at the flashlight and share a gallows laugh. Herman takes the Colt in hand and shows Griffith the remaining round. Now the pair are walking to the cliffside.
Surely this isn't a suicide pact of some sort? Or Russian roulette?
I don't know what they have planned, Jess, but whatever is going to happen will happen in full view, high above the water's edge.
How dramatic.
The 2 boys are walking side by side, mouths moving as if chatting on a stroll through the park. Now they stop. Shake hands. Now they're squaring off at just a few paces. Herman tosses the Colt in between them. It lands closer to Griffith, and he backs off a few paces to keep it fair.
What integrity being shown here. Beyond sportsmanship, above it lies this.
Playing the odds on the best and worst of human nature is what we promise on Battle Royale Radio, and we always deliver. Roger Herman and William Griffith are teaching us all a lesson in what the leader wisely calls belief only in one's own strength. Strength of body, strength of will.
I'm sure we all do, Austin. But let's get back to the finale at hand.
Of course, the 2 remaining players are done talking and now just stare. Whoever moves first betrays their strategy. Go for the person first or the gun, and we wait. Herman breaks first, taking a charging run at Griffith. If he can concuss him or even knock the wind from his sails, he'll be able to go for the gun.
Griffith isn't hurt by that tackle.
He's grappling Herman from beneath, driving an elbow into his throat and pushing back, now rolling out. The 2 exchange punches now, Herman landing one that staggers Griffith, but just for a moment. He lashes out with one boot and Herman cries out, teetering. A quick 1-2 punch and down goes Herman. Griffith isn't hesitating. He's grabbed that gun.
I think Herman is trying to say something.
Whatever Herman had to say, it died with him. William Griffith is now the official winner of Battle Royale. Payouts on him across the 3 big boards has totaled more than $3 million. So congratulations to the big winners out there.
Here come the police in riot gear to collect our winner. It's always a fraught moment, and the authorities have to be delicate. Griffith looks ready to charge them, which would be a very bad idea for him. Now one holds out a phone, hands it to him. Is it a family member?
It's the leader himself, Jess.
What? How do you know?
The control center on the island gave me a heads up just as we went live for the finale. He very much respects the mettle shown by the aspiring young man and has plans to offer him an appointment to the National Military Academy of Griffith's choice.
Look at Griffith's face. He can't believe who he's speaking to, and his shoulders slump, the tension gone. The police take him by the arm and escort him to the nearby tiltrotor. Now he hesitates, breaks their grip gently, and salutes the body laying by the cliff.
And now they've boarded the aircraft. But what a moment. I mean, wow.
The only thing to top that will be to talk numbers. The biggest payouts and the smartest bets. But first, we're going to play a short excerpt from last week's seminar, walking you through the first steps of setting up a can't-lose portfolio. It's a killer market, so only good information and a good strategy can save you.
Thanks, Jess. Roll the segment, please.
End Battle Royale Prediction Market Radio, Season 2.